This video is dedicated in loving memory to my buddy Dave Parks. Dave unfortunately passed away recently, and we definitely had our ups and downs with our friendship, but I'm glad that we got to end on a positive note, back to talking again and being friends. If you or anyone you know is dealing with substance abuse issues, don't be afraid to reach out and talk to someone and try to get some help. I've lost way too many people to issues with substance abuse, and it doesn't get easier anytime. I love you, Dave. I'm glad that we got to be friends, and I'll see you on the other side, brother. On May 29th, 2K is releasing a bunch of games for the Nintendo Switch, but if you plan on picking these games up, you might want to buy a couple memory cards. Is Metroid Prime Trilogy HD Collection coming to the Nintendo Switch next month? Probably not, so let's go ahead and debunk that. And finally, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is also coming out on May 29th, but it seems like there's a sizable problem with this game. What's going on, guys? I'm RGT85. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. We're getting very close to 300,000 subscribers, and we're going to be doing some giveaways. But without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. So during the latest Nintendo Direct Mini, 2K announced that 3 games would be coming to the Nintendo Switch that have never been on a Nintendo platform before: BioShock, XCOM, and Borderlands. Now, all of these are collections. You're getting BioShock the Collection, which includes the 3 games from the BioShock franchise, the Borderlands Legendary Collection, and the XCOM 2 Collection. And a lot of people were wondering, how are these games going to fit on a Nintendo Switch cartridge when it comes to the physical side of things? If you know anything about 2K games, they don't really seem to do something called compression with their games. I'm someone who buys the NBA 2K series every year on the Nintendo Switch because, well, I love basketball. And even when I buy the physical edition of the game, there's usually a sizable download that I have to do in order to actually play the game. Well, it was recently revealed how much of a download you're going to need in order to play these games if you pick up the physical edition, and well, you might want to buy some memory cards because these games are, I don't think they did any sort of compression on them whatsoever. So if you plan on picking up the Borderlands Legendary Collection, it's going to require at least 42 gigabytes of additional downloads in order to play the game. 42 gigabytes in order to just play the game if you pick up the physical version of the game. When it comes to the BioShock Collection, it will require a 31 gigabyte download, and XCOM 2 Collection requires a 24 gigabyte download. So if you plan on picking up any of these games, you better go ahead and clear out a lot of room on your Nintendo Switch SD card, or maybe just buy the game digitally or buy them in individual pieces. Of course, when it comes to BioShock the Collection and the Borderlands Legendary Collection, you can pick and choose which games you want to buy if you purchase these games via the Nintendo Switch eShop instead of getting the physical edition of the game. Me personally, I'm kind of on the fence. Like, I did want to pick up the BioShock Collection physically, but it seems like it's kind of pointless considering the fact that I'm still going to have to do a sizable download with these games. Now, obviously, these are big games. These are games that were released on the modern platforms that we have. XCOM 2 is going to be very interesting to see how it runs on the Nintendo Switch, considering that's a pretty graphically taxing game, but I do plan on picking up the BioShock Collection. I played the first game to death and I really enjoyed it. I never got around to playing the sequels though, so I am looking forward to checking this out, but obviously I'm gonna have to clear some space on my memory card. So let me know in the comments section down below what you think about this. Do you think 2K could have done some more compression to make these games, well, just a bit smaller on the Nintendo Switch? Do you plan on picking up these games, or have you already played them on other platforms? The year was 2018, the event was the Game Awards, and everyone was thinking one thing: they're going to show Metroid Prime Trilogy HD Collection for the Nintendo Switch at the Game Awards 2018. It was one of the biggest rumors that was going on around out there, and I honestly thought it was something that was feasible. It was something that was going to potentially happen based on things I heard, and then it didn't happen. And a lot of people were like, well, what happened to Metroid Prime HD Trilogy Collection for the Nintendo Switch? When is this coming out? And a lot of people decided, well, maybe it's coming out in 2019, but I sort of decided, well, just not to talk about it anymore because it seemed like a very polarizing thing. On paper, it's something that makes sense. It's something that would be a perfect fit on the Nintendo Switch, and to see these games in HD would be absolutely fantastic considering how good these games looked when they were originally released on the GameCube and the Nintendo Wii. But now everyone is talking about Metroid Prime Trilogy HD Collection again for the Nintendo Switch, and I am here to crush your hopes and dreams. So this latest rumor is coming to us from a Swedish retailer with a brand new listing for Metroid Prime HD Trilogy Collection for the Nintendo Switch, and they say it's coming out on June 19th. Yes, less than a month away, this game will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch. And a lot of people want to believe this rumor. A lot of people want to think that this rumor is going to be true, but it's really not going to be true. I don't think there is any way that on June 19th, the Metroid Prime Trilogy HD Collection will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch. Now, a lot of people are saying, well, look at Paper Mario, the Origami King for the Nintendo Switch. This game was completely stealth dropped as far as being revealed. Nobody knew about this game. Nobody knew anything that this game was going to come out soon. And then we got this huge trailer for the game. And then the game is releasing about 2 months after the release of this trailer. So obviously this game is pretty much done and ready to go. So maybe Nintendo is doing something like that with the Metroid Prime Trilogy HD Collection. But to that I say, you have about 2 months of notice to know about this game. The Metroid Prime Trilogy HD Collection, according to this listing, would be releasing on June 19th, which is, well, less than a month. Most retailers need about 30 days in order to get things in line when it comes to games releasing. Now, another thing that a lot of people are saying is, well, maybe this is going to be a digital release on the Nintendo Switch eShop with a physical release to follow it up at a later date. And I guess that's a bit more plausible. Obviously, that is something Nintendo could do. But once again, why would it be June 19th? And why would a Swedish retailer be listing this game? Obviously, the Swedish retailer is listing a physical edition of the game. They don't care about things like eShop games that are released. They care about games that they can make money on. So once again, it sort of negates that point because the source of this rumor is a Swedish retailer saying that the game is coming out on June 19th. Do I think Metroid Prime Trilogy HD Collection is a game that is coming to the Nintendo Switch? I honestly do. I feel like this game has probably been done for a little while, and maybe Nintendo is just trying to time the release of this to sort of build up hype for Metroid Prime 4. But do I think this game is coming out next month for the Nintendo Switch in less than a month? No, it doesn't make sense to me. Now, of course, there are going to be people that will be looking deeper into this, and there's going to be people that disagree with this and that will want to keep the faith. And to that I say, you know what, keep the faith, but don't be super disappointed when June 19th rolls around and, well, there's no Metroid on your Nintendo Switch. And finally, we have to talk about Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this game has a bit of a problem, and it's a problem that we've actually seen before with some Nintendo Switch games, and I feel like some people are going to give this game a pass with this problem, but for me personally, it is something that needs to be addressed. Now, before we get into what the actual issue is, let me make one thing clear. Xenoblade Chronicles is a great game. I played the game on the Nintendo Wii. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I played the game on the new Nintendo 3DS when I repurchased it, and once again, I absolutely loved it and I thought it was a fantastic game. The core game itself is a fun experience. It is a great RPG game, but there's a problem with this game that needs to be addressed. Now, unfortunately, the game did leak online. You can actually download this game if you're one of those Nintendo Switch hackers, and people are discovering things with Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Now, obviously, they've done a lot of work in the graphics department of this game. It's not just a simple HD remaster utilizing the Nintendo Wii textures. They've obviously built this from the ground up. But looking at this game, I never thought it looked like anything spectacular. I thought it looked very solid, but nothing really sort of groundbreaking. Well, since this game has leaked, people have been analyzing the data for this game, and it has been discovered what this game will run on the Nintendo Switch. Now, once again, let's preface something because I don't want everyone to get mad at me. I am not a P counter. I'm not a big fan of P. I don't care about P. As long as a game looks good and it runs good, that is all that matters to me. But one issue that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had on the Nintendo Switch was, well, handheld mode. That game did not look very good in handheld mode until a subsequent patch ended up coming out that made it look a little bit better. It has been discovered what this game will run on the Nintendo Switch due to this leak, and in docked mode, the game will run at 540 to 720p. 720p, I think, is acceptable for Nintendo Switch games. Obviously, this isn't the most powerful system in the world. As long as the game looks good and it runs good, 720p is more than acceptable. But in handheld mode, well, that's sort of the problem. In handheld mode, the game will run at 378 to 540p, which is pretty much the exact same thing that we saw in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 on the Nintendo Switch, meaning that it's going to be a pretty blurry experience when you're playing this game in handheld mode. And personally, I really like playing my Nintendo Switch in handheld mode, so this is sort of a detriment to the game for me. And a lot of people enjoy playing their Nintendo Switch in handheld mode, and to have such a low resolution, you're gonna have things like graininess and that sort of Vaseline smear that we see with some Nintendo Switch games, and I don't really understand why this is a thing in Xenoblade Chronicles. Xenoblade Chronicles 2 was a massive game, and Xenoblade Chronicles is a big game in its own right, but obviously this is a game that's been around for quite a while now. The Wii version of the game ran at 480, so it's not like it can't hit something a little bit higher than 378p, but I think one of the bigger issues is you've seen more robust games come to the Nintendo Switch lately that don't run at a lower resolution than 540p when in handheld mode. A game like The Witcher 3. The Witcher 3 is going to be a bigger game than Xenoblade Chronicles is. The Witcher 3 has so much content in it, it's absolutely ridiculous. And The Witcher 3 on the Nintendo Switch ran at 540p in handheld mode. And then they actually added in more stuff for the game to where you could customize the visuals and customize things like sharpness with the game to make the game look even better. And that was a third-party game. I'm not quite sure why Monolith can't sort of figure out handheld mode on the Nintendo Switch. That was definitely one of the drawbacks for me when playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when I played it. I didn't like how the game looked in handheld mode, and it's a shame to see that Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition is going to have these same sort of graphical issues that Xenoblade Chronicles 2 had on the Nintendo Switch when playing the game in handheld mode. Once again, I think the game is absolutely fantastic. The core experience is great, and I'm someone that plays retro games, so graphics obviously aren't the be-all end-all, but I feel like this is something that needs to be brought up, because I feel like some people will be disappointed when they pick up this version of the game and play the game in handheld mode and see, well, it just doesn't look all that great. Alright, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know what you think of everything in the comments section down below. Are you going to be picking up any of the 2K games that released on May 29th? What do you think about the Metroid Prime Trilogy HD Collection rumor? It's false. It's false. And of course, Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition. Are you a bit disappointed that the game, well, is going to look pretty grainy and blurry in handheld mode? And as always, folks, thank you for checking out this video. If you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Be sure to check out other videos on the channel, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later.